The biting cold wind, like countless sharp blades, tore furiously across the desolate snowfield. The night was as black as if ink had been spilled over it, and vast swaths of snowflakes fell with a vengeance, instantly swallowing up all signs of life. A figure so slender, it seemed the wind might scatter her, huddled beside a cold snowdrift. Her thin clothes had long since frozen into a hard shell. Her lips were a terrifying shade of purple, and her breath was so weak it could falter at any moment. Her name was Lin Wan, the lowest-ranking Omega in her clan. She was supposed to be chosen in glory at the coming-of-age ceremony to become the mate of a powerful alpha. But on the eve of the ceremony, her own sister and fiancé drugged her together and cast her into this snowland of death, shrouded in an ancient curse. They laughed as they said this was the graveyard of the weak, and that fate itself would judge her a superfluous existence. Why? What on earth did I do wrong? Lin Wan screamed inside her mind over and over again as her consciousness began to sink into darkness. Tears welled up at the corners of her eyes, only to be frozen into shards of ice by the bitter cold, piercing her skin and causing her whole body to tremble with pain. Her omega pheromones, driven wild by sheer terror, drifted uncontrollably through the air. That faint scent of snow lotus seemed so fragile and helpless in the howling wind, as if it could be completely wiped out at any moment. Just as she thought she would die in silence, heavy, powerful footsteps suddenly crushed the thick snow beneath them. Each step pressed down like a war drum, carrying a suffocating air of dominance. A figure as towering as a mountain emerged from the blizzard, his long black overcoat flapping wildly in the wind, his silver-gray eyes flashing with the beast, like coldness in the darkness. He was the Alpha King of the Northern Wolf Clan, Yuan, a legendary ruler known for his ruthless decisiveness and cold-blooded cruelty. The power of life and death over the entire pack rested in his hands. The position of his mate had long been designated by an ancient prophecy, yet it remained unfilled to this day, for the prophecy warned that when his queen appeared, she would bring with her the dual power to destroy the old order and usher in a new era, and whoever found her would completely rewrite the fate of the werewolf clan. Yuan had been patrolling the border tonight, tracking down a dark force that had been lurking within the pack for years, a force that had been secretly weakening pure-blooded alphas by manipulating the mate selection ceremony, causing one tragedy after another. But when that faint yet soul-piercing scent of snow lotus suddenly wafted through the air, his chest felt as if it were being violently squeezed by an invisible giant hand. Damn it, that scent! He cursed under his breath, his Adam's apple throbbing violently as his alpha pheromones erupted instantly. That overpowering scent, as potent as a blend of pine wood and strong liquor, forcibly drowned out the howling wind and snow, soaring straight into the heavens. He strode forward and scooped Lin Wan out of the snowdrift. The moment his fingers touched her skin, cold as a corpse's, it was as if he'd been struck by lightning. Deep within his chest, an unprecedented surge of frenzied possessiveness and tenderness exploded simultaneously. His wolf's primal instincts roared wildly in his mind. She is mine, the one destined for me. Whoever dares touch her, I will tear them to pieces. In her semi-conscious state, Lin Wan felt a terrifyingly scorching heat suddenly envelop her. She forced her eyes open and met those silver-gray eyes, filled with shock, intense possessiveness, and a hint of tenderness that even Yuan himself hadn't realized. "You, let me go." Her voice was soft and delicate as a feather, yet trembled slightly with fear. Instinctively, she tried to pull away, but she didn't even have the strength to lift her hand. Yuan's brow knitted tightly, his voice low and thunderous, forced from deep within his chest. "Shut up. From now on my turf, no one is allowed to discard what belongs to me." He abruptly stripped off his trench coat, wrapped her tightly in it, scooped her up in his arms, and strode off toward the royal city. Even the wind and snow seemed cowed by his fury, gradually subsiding. Yet Lin Wan's heart was in turmoil. Who was he? Why does his presence terrify me to death, yet make me crave his touch? She buried her face deep into his scorching chest, listening to his powerful heartbeat, and tears finally broke free, streaming down her face. For the first time in all these years, someone had embraced her with such warmth, rather than pushing her away, trampling her, or abandoning her. Yuan looked down at the nearly frozen little Omega in his arms, his throat tightening. An ancient prophecy echoed thunderously in his mind. The child abandoned in the snow shall become the brightest gem in the crown, and the key to destroying the old order. He did not know that behind this encounter lay a conspiracy hatched years ago by the clan's high command. Someone had long foreseen her identity and sought to nip her in the bud before her awakening. And yet, he, the mighty Alpha King, had personally carried home this very woman tonight, the one destined to make him willingly follow her to the end, no matter the cost. Fate is never gentle. It only binds two people who were never meant to meet together in the cruelest, bloodiest way possible. But sometimes it is precisely because of this cruelty that the deep love that follows becomes so searingly unforgettable, so utterly irresistible. Yuan carried Lin Wan through the gradually subsiding snowstorm. The stone walls of the royal city loomed faintly in the night, and the flickering torches seemed like hidden eyes. Lin Wan lay half asleep in his arms, his intense aura seeping into her, making her feel instinctively at ease, yet tinged with an uncontrollable sense of wariness. Why does this stranger's presence make me feel as if he were meant to be in my life? Questions churned within her as she unconsciously pressed her cheek against his chest, listening to his steady, powerful heartbeat. Each beat seemed to awaken some dormant power within her. Upon entering the royal city, the guards saw the king personally carrying back a woman of unknown origin. They all bowed their heads to make way, yet none dared to speak. Yuan's expression was stern as he issued a direct order: prepare hot water, clean clothes, and a physician. No one is to approach the vicinity of the bedchamber. He carried Lin Wan into his spacious yet desolate bedchamber, where wolfskin rugs covered the floor. Battle flags from past campaigns hung on the walls, and the air was filled with a blend of herbal and woody scents. Yuan carefully laid her on the bed and personally wiped the ice shards from her face. The moment their fingertips touched, his chest tightened sharply, as if bound by invisible shackles. Lin Wan forced her eyes open and met those cold, silver, gray eyes. Who exactly are you? Why did you save me? Yuan sat on the edge of the bed, his voice low and carrying an unquestionable air of dominance. I am Yuan, king of the Northern Wolf clan. From this moment on, you belong to me. Anyone who dares touch you again will be at war with the entire Northern realm. Those words struck Lin Wan's heart. She had been taught since childhood that the weak could only rely on the strong. Yet she never imagined she would encounter this legendary, iron-fisted monarch in the form of abandonment. The physician arrived quickly. After examining her, his expression grew grave. Your Majesty, her body is severely weakened from prolonged abuse and the bitter cold. If she isn't calmed promptly, the awakening process may spiral out of control. Yuan's brows furrowed deeply. He knew that the fusion of werewolf mates required a profound connection, especially for the queen foretold in the prophecy, as this step determined the future of the clan. But Lin Wan had just been betrayed, her heart riven with pain, forcing the process would only deepen her fear. I have fought for many years and have never wavered for anyone. Yet when faced with her, why do I feel this strange, dull ache? He thought to himself, ultimately choosing to step back and let the maids attend to her bath and change of clothes. Lin Wan soaked in the hot water, letting the warm current wash over her frozen body. She recalled her past within the clan. As the lowest-ranking member, her own sister, Lin Wei, had always envied the innate purity she possessed. On the eve of the ritual, Lin Wei and her fiancé had conspired to drug her and cast her into the deadly snowfields, sneering, a superfluous person like you. Only your death can purify the clan. They intended to eliminate me, but never imagined they'd push me into the king's presence. Lin Wan bit her lip as tears mingled with the hot water and trickled down her face. Yet the werewolf instincts within her were quietly calling out for Yuan's presence. This internal conflict caused her both agony and a secret hope. Meanwhile, in a side hall, Yuan summoned his confidants. His voice hushed to a whisper. Discover the identity of that woman from the Snowlands. The castaway in the snow from the prophecy is very likely her. That undercurrent within the clan has been manipulating the mating rituals for years, weakening the power of the purebloods, with the sole aim of undermining the king's authority. A confidant reported in a low voice, "King, the Lin family appears neutral on the surface, but in reality, they have secret ties with the southern wolf packs. By manipulating the rituals to produce weakened offspring, they have already planted pawns within multiple wolf packs. If the queen awakens, it may completely expose their network of conspiracies." Yuan clenched his fists, murderous intent surging in his silver-gray eyes. Anyone who dares to target the Chosen One will face the bloody purge of Wolfpack politics. Issue an order to secretly monitor all factions connected to the Lin family. This Snowland incident is merely the tip of the iceberg. As night deepened, Lin Wan changed into a pure white robe and lay in bed, unable to sleep. Footsteps sounded outside the door. Yuan pushed it open, wearing a loose black robe that revealed his muscular chest. That overwhelming aura swept over her once more, making her cheeks flush instantly. "Are you still afraid of me?" Yuan approached, his tone unusually soft. Lin Wan shook her head slightly. "I don't understand why it had to be you who saved me. Someone as weak as me should have been cast aside long ago." Yuan's large hand covered the back of hers, and the intense heat instantly spread throughout her body. He whispered, "Because the prophecy has long bound us together. The Snowlands are not the end, but the starting point for the Wolfpack's rebirth. The old powers seek to maintain their decaying order through curses and manipulation, but you will be the key to shattering it." Lin Wan's heart raced. His words were so commanding, yet for the first time, I felt truly seen. She asked softly, "As the king, you should have countless powerful beings by your side. Why choose me, a cast-off?" Yuan's gaze darkened slightly. "Because only you fulfill the prophecy. No one else can bring about true rebirth. I have waited far too long for this moment." He didn't force her, but simply drew her gently into his arms, letting her rest against his chest. As Lin Wan listened to his heartbeat, a long-lost sense of security quietly welled up within her. Outside the window, the wind and snow picked up again, as if foreshadowing an even greater storm. Power struggles within the wolf pack, cross-species conspiracies, and the power games under the ancient curse were all brewing in the shadows. The truth of the werewolf world has always been cruel. Beneath the wolf pack's outward unity lie layers of scheming and power games. Yet it is precisely because of this darkness that true love and awakening seem all the more precious. Lin Wan closed her eyes and silently resolved within herself. No matter how treacherous the politics of the wolf pack might be, she would live out her own strength. The next morning, sunlight struggled through the thick clouds to spill into the bedchamber. When Lin Wan awoke, she found herself still nestled in Yuan's embrace. His arms held her tightly, as if he feared she might vanish at any moment. She shifted slightly, and Yuan opened his eyes immediately. A flicker of wariness crossed his silver, gray eyes before softening into tenderness. "Awake!" His voice carried the hoarseness of morning, and his large hand gently stroked her hair. The touch was warm yet tinged with an irresistible possessiveness, causing Lin Wan's body to tremble slightly. She tried to sit up, but he pressed her back into his embrace. "Don't move. You're still weak," Yuan murmured, his breath hot and ticklish against her ear. Lin Wan blushed, her heart pounding like a drum. This man was so domineering, yet why did I find myself unable to push him away? Just yesterday, her own family had abandoned her in the snow to die, and today she lay in the Wolf King's bed. Just then, hurried footsteps sounded outside the door. A trusted aide whispered, "Your Majesty, the Lin family has arrived. They say they've come to retrieve their missing kin. Miss Lin Wei is leading the party herself, and she's brought an envoy from the Southern Wolf Pack." Yuan's expression darkened instantly. He rose and threw on his outer robe, his movements swift yet tinged with suppressed fury. "Have them wait in the council chamber." Turning to Lin Wan, he said, "Stay here. Don't go out. I'll be back once I've dealt with this." Lin Wan nodded, but a wave of unease washed over her. Lin Wei has arrived. She's the one who threw me into the snowy wasteland. Yet now she pretends to be searching for someone. She certainly doesn't have good intentions. She recalled her sister's jealousy and oppression toward her since childhood. The conspiracies hidden within the clan seemed to be slowly coming to the surface. When Yuan arrived at the council hall, Lin Wei was dressed in a magnificent fur coat, her makeup immaculate, accompanied by several envoys from the Southern Wolf Pack. Upon seeing Yuan, she curtsied gracefully, her voice soft. "Your Majesty, my younger sister, Lin Wan, went missing on the eve of her coming of age ceremony. We have searched for her for a long time. We heard that you rescued her, and we are truly grateful. Please allow us to take her home." Yuan leaned back in his throne, his gaze as cold and sharp as a blade. "She is now my woman. No one can take her away." Lin Wei's expression flickered slightly, but she quickly concealed it, speaking with feigned grievance. "Your Majesty may not be aware, but my sister has been frail and sickly since childhood, and our clan has always cared for her with great caution. Yet she has a stubborn nature. She snuck out on her own and encountered danger. Our Lin family raised her. We implore your Majesty to see reason." The envoy from the south chimed in. "The North and South have always maintained friendly relations. If this matter escalates, it may jeopardize the alliance between our clans. Though the prophecy is important, we cannot violate our clan's traditions." Yuan clenched his fists tightly. He could hear the probing behind these words. Someone was trying to use Lin Wan's situation to stir up trouble and test his limits. These people speak of alliances on the surface, but secretly seek to weaken the Northern Realm's power by manipulating prophecies and matchmaking. The Lin family is merely a pawn. There are greater forces pulling the strings behind the scenes. He gave a cold laugh. "Tradition. The prophecy is the wolf pack's highest guide. The pawn abandoned in the snow is my destined mate. Anyone who dares to question this is questioning the very fate of the Northern Realm." Lin Wei bit her lip, a flash of venom in her eyes. "My sister, she is unworthy of His Majesty. Her birth is lowly, and she has a hidden ailment. What if she brings trouble upon His Majesty?" These words ignited Lin Wan's fury like gunpowder. She had actually sneaked out and was hiding outside the hall, listening to everything. "Unworthy? Why didn't you ask if I was worthy when you threw me into the snowy wasteland? Now that you see the king has saved me, you come to snatch me away." Her chest heaved, her hands trembled. Yet she forced herself to stay put and not storm inside. Yuan stood up, his towering figure casting a shadow. "Enough. I decide what happens to Lin Wan. If you wish to take her, first ask my Wolf Fang if they agree." The atmosphere in the council chamber grew tense instantly. The envoy from the south looked grim, but dared not press the issue, and could only withdraw. As Lin Wei left, she shot a fierce glare toward the hall, as if sensing Lin Wan's presence. Back in the bedchamber, Yuan saw Lin Wan standing pale by the window. He walked over and embraced her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Did you hear that?" Lin Wan nodded, tears falling uncontrollably. They want to destroy me. Why are you protecting me? Aren't you afraid of getting me into trouble?" Yuan turned her around, cupped her face in both hands, and wiped away her tears with his thumbs. because you are my queen. From the moment I held you in my arms, I knew this fate was inescapable. Their schemes only make me more determined." His lips suddenly pressed against hers, carrying a scorching heat and an intense sense of possession. Lin Wan stiffened at first, then relaxed, her hands unconsciously clutching his shirt. The kiss was domineering yet gentle, as if it would melt her into his very being. So hot. His breath makes my whole body go weak, yet I want to draw even closer. Her mind was in turmoil, a tangled web of forbidden sweetness and fear. After the kiss, Yuan pressed his breath against her forehead. "Don't be afraid. I'll uncover all the forces behind this, the Lin family, the Southern Wolf Pack, and that secret organization manipulating the prophecy. None of them will lay a finger on you." Lin Wan leaned against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, and for the first time found the courage to resist. I can't be weak anymore. Since fate has brought me here, I must awaken and help him break those chains. Over the next few days, the conflict gradually escalated. Lin Wan began studying the Wolf clan's customs and history, yet she was always under the watchful gaze of hidden eyes. Once, while strolling in the garden, she encountered Lin Wei sneaking in. Her older sister grabbed her arm and whispered viciously, "Do you think you're safe just because you've hooked up with Yuan? The prophecy is a lie. It's all a tool the higher-ups use to control the clan. Your awakening will only bring destruction. Come back with me quietly and you might still live." Lin Wan shook off her hand, her voice trembling but firm. "I won't go back. When you abandoned me, you should have known this day would come." Lin Wei left with a cold laugh, leaving a threat behind. "Just wait and see. The purge of the clan will begin soon. You'll regret it." Upon hearing this, Yuan flew into a rage. He dispatched men to reinforce security while launching a covert investigation. Late that night, as he spent time alone with Lin Wan, he opened his heart. "I once believed the throne required only iron will and power. But after meeting you, I realized that true strength lies in protecting those you wish to protect. Those conspiratorial forces seek to use the curse of fate to divide the wolf pack. But I will prove through my actions that true love can rewrite everything." Lin Wan was moved to tears and moved closer to embrace him. Their bodies pressed tightly together, and the heat of their skin against skin made her heart race. His embrace felt so safe, yet it held a dangerously alluring pull. Their emotions grew deeper amidst the tug of war, as the forbidden sweetness and external pressures wove a web that bound them ever tighter. On a night of the full moon, the wolf pack held a traditional gathering. Lin Wan was required to attend, but during the meeting she was publicly questioned by the southern envoy. "This woman's origins are unknown. How can we prove she is the queen of the prophecy? What if she is a spy sent by the enemy?" The hall erupted in an uproar. Lin Wan stood beside Yuan, her palms sweating. Yuan clasped her hand tightly and replied in a clear voice, "The proof is the sense of wholeness I feel when she is by my side. The wolf pack needs rebirth, not the decay of being manipulated by old forces." His words stirred a chorus of support from some, yet also fueled the opposition's secret resentment. A powerful force surged within Lin Wan. "I am no longer a pawn. I will become his ally and tear away the veil of those conspiracies." As the conflict intensified, their emotions deepened through the ordeal. Lin Wan began secretly practicing the techniques of werewolf awakening, and the power within her body gradually stirred to life. Meanwhile, while protecting her, Yuan gradually revealed a gentler side, slowly transforming from a cold-hearted ruler into a deeply devoted partner. The tug of war of fate is always cruel, yet it is precisely because of these trials that true love feels so deeply etched in the soul. Those who seek to tear them apart will ultimately bear witness only to their strength. Amid the dark politics of the wolf pack, this love is quietly blooming into the most dazzling light. The lingering afterglow of their union still hung in the air of the bedchamber. Lin Wan leaned against Yuan's chest, feeling the calm strength that came from the complete blending of their pheromones. The final test of betrayal that flashed through her mind from the fragments of the prophecy unsettled her, yet it also sparked an even stronger resolve within her. Fate never grants victory easily. It always buries hidden dangers in the places closest to us, she thought to herself, raising her eyes to meet Yuan's silver gray gaze, which held not only tenderness but also unwavering vigilance. Yuan gently stroked her back as he analyzed the current situation in a low voice. The Iron Clan chief's wavering is only the beginning. After the Southern Wolf Clan's defeat at the border, they won't give up easily. They'll likely shift to internal infiltration, bribing more neutral elders. Though we've temporarily won over the Mu Clan, their trade interests are too deeply intertwined with the South. We must keep a close watch on them. Lin Wan nodded and offered her own observations. While you were away on campaign, I spoke with several elders and discovered that although the remnants of the Shui clan have been suppressed, their intelligence network within the royal city hasn't been completely eradicated. Before Lin Wei was captured, she had used a secret channel to convey a message to the deputy chieftain of the Eastern Mu clan, promising that if the coup succeeded, they would receive a 30% share of the mining rights in the northern frontier. This isn't mere revenge. It's a long-term scheme to redistribute resources across clans. The two quickly formulated their next strategy. Yuan decided to convene a small inner circle meeting, limited to trusted Qi clan confidants and Mu clan representatives whose loyalty had been confirmed. At the meeting, he did not directly name the Tai clan, but instead sent a signal through indirect means. Unifying the Wolf clans requires eliminating all the black hands manipulating the system. But it also requires balancing the interests of the clans. Anyone found to have made private contact with the South will be treated as a traitor. A Mu clan representative tentatively asked, Your Majesty, the Iron Clan chief has been unwell of late. Should we send a physician to attend to him? Yuan replied calmly, There is no need. If he is truly loyal, he will come to see me of his own accord. Such political maneuvering tests one's patience. Whoever reveals a weakness first loses their stake. Lin Wan stood by, silently noting the subtle shifts in everyone's expressions. She was no longer an observer. She had begun to learn how to use the pure aura awakened within her to subtly influence others' judgments, allowing those with wavering loyalties to feel the pressure of the Queen's resonance. A few days later, the Iron Clan chief indeed appeared in the council chamber. While outwardly deferential, he repeatedly emphasized during the discussion that the traditional right to arrange matches cannot be entirely abolished, attempting to leave a backdoor for the southern factions. Yuan remained impassive on the spot, saying only, Clan loyalty is demonstrated not by words but by actions. That evening, Yuan's confidants intercepted a secret letter between the Tai clan and the southern envoys. The letter detailed plans to launch a joint challenge at the next clan assembly, questioning the authenticity of the Queen's awakening, including fabricating evidence for bloodline testing. Yuan chose not to act immediately, but instead to use the letter to his advantage. He had Lin Wan, in her capacity as queen, meet privately with several undecided elders. She revealed the contents of the letter as anonymous intelligence, emphasizing, Some seek to divide the Wolf clan in my name, but their true aim is to pave the way for the South to annex the northern frontier. Your choice will determine the future of our clan. This move swiftly divided the opposition. 2 elders defected on the spot, providing a list of southern spies planted along the border. Upon hearing the news in her cell, Lin Wei attempted to spread new rumors through her family's former allies, claiming that Lin Wan's snow lotus fragrance was manipulative pheromones that would cause alphas to lose their rationality. But this ploy was turned against her by Yuan. He publicly organized a pheromone test involving several neutral alphas, and the results showed that Lin Wan's scent stabilized rather than disrupted the awakening process, further solidifying her position. Politics is never a straightforward confrontation. but a chess game with layers upon layers of intrigue. Lin Wan summarized this during a late-night discussion with Yuan. She began organizing the clan archives, unearthing dozens of cases of accidental pairing failures, orchestrated by the Lin family over the past decade, and presented the data to the Council of Elders. The data revealed that the weakened young werewolves were mostly from small and medium-sized clans outside the Lin and Shui clans, which directly sparked their discontent and pushed more factions to support the royal reform movement. The situation at the border was simultaneously escalating. After their retreat, the Southern Wolf Pack adjusted their strategy, abandoning large-scale offensives in favor of small-scale infiltration. Combined with diplomatic pressure, they dispatched an embassy to the royal capital under the pretext of repairing the alliance, but secretly carried large quantities of gold and silver, attempting to bribe the remnants of the Tai clan and conservative factions within the Mu clan. Yuan ostensibly welcomed the delegation, but in reality had laid a trap. The Tai clan chief was placed under secret house arrest, and his family's mineral transport routes were temporarily taken over by Qi clan forces under the pretext of protection, effectively severing their economic lifeline. During the negotiations, Lin Wan took the initiative to attend. Rather than engaging in a head-on confrontation, she used her newly awakened powers to demonstrate the authenticity of the prophetic fragments. When she released her aura, several alphas in the hall simultaneously felt a long-lost, complete resonance, and even a young officer among the southern envoys momentarily lost his composure. This created a rift within the delegation. One envoy privately confided to Yuan, the southern faction was not monolithic. Some elders feared that excessive infiltration might provoke a full-scale counterattack from the north. Divide your opponents and consolidate your inside men. This is the essence of political strategy. Yuan seized this opportunity to reach a limited understanding with the envoy, securing a promise from the south to withdraw some of its infiltration forces, while also obtaining intelligence on the Lin family's key strongholds in the south. The conflict entered a new phase. At a clan assembly, the opposition attempted a final counterattack. They jointly proposed the Queen's bloodline verification bill, demanding that the testing be presided over by a third-party elder from the remnants of the Shui clan. Yuan agreed, but had the Mu clan secretly provide authentic testing equipment in advance. He also instructed Lin Wan to publicly recount her experiences in the Snowlands during the ceremony, emphasizing the clan's conspiracy behind her abandonment. The atmosphere shifted from tension to sympathy. Many representatives from small and medium-sized clans openly voiced their support, and the bill unexpectedly became a catalyst for accelerating reform. Lin Wei's final pawn, a southern elder who had been operating as an undercover agent for years, was exposed at the assembly. The elder attempted to detonate a pre-stored toxic mist, but Lin Wan sensed it in advance and neutralized it with her awakened barrier. Yuan immediately ordered a purge. All clan members implicated underwent rigorous scrutiny, and mining and trade rights were redistributed to loyal clans. Through this series of political maneuvers, the power structure of the Northern Wolf clan began to reshape itself. Royal authority no longer relied on the monopoly of a single clan, but instead formed a new balance centered on the prophecy and the queen. Afterward, Lin Wan said to Yuan, "I once thought fate merely bound the two of us together, but now I realize it is driving the transformation of our entire clan." Their bond continued to deepen amidst the whirlpool of political intrigue. One late night, Yuan returned from a border patrol to find Lin Wan practicing advanced awakening techniques alone. He embraced her from behind, and the two were once again swept into a fiery union, their pheromones swirling like a storm. This union was no longer merely instinct, it was a mutual affirmation forged through the crucible of political strife. The final test of betrayal foretold in the prophecy still hung in the balance, but Lin Wan and Yuan were ready to face it, whether it came from the blade of their closest ally or the final counterattack from the south. standing hand in hand atop the royal city. Gazing at the distant snowstorm, they held fast to their conviction. True love and wisdom could rewrite the outcome of every conspiracy. The cruelty of wolf pack politics lies in the fact that every step may come at the cost of blood. Yet it is precisely for this reason that protection and rebirth are all the more precious.